Some people have asked me, doesn't that tire noise annoy the hell out of you? The answer is yes, it does. Hey, how you doing? Duff here. Just got done doing some manual labor. I'm on my second day of my 5-day Christmas break. Took off yesterday. Yesterday I built a pergola. Those of you that know what a pergola is, a very low pergola for the chickens that I put on the right. It's movable, but I have it against the back of the coop because I've blocked off the bottom of the coop because I'm worried that disease is what killed 2 of our chickens in the past month from that area underneath the coop, which is very dirty and we can't really clean. So I made a pergola. And then if you've ever seen any of my chicken videos, in the back of the chicken yard we had what we called a playground, which is just a very roughshod square, basically a square frame that we set up when we built that area. But I actually added a pergola style roof to that as well. So now there's a picture of it here of the two things. I added a pergola style roof to that as well to give the chickens another area to hide under. The chickens like to feel safe during the day. They like to be in a closed space, and that's why they were always underneath the coop. When we used to have them free ranging, they used to always hide under one of our sheds. So I'm hoping that this will give them the same sense of security that they like. So while keeping them safe and giving them shade and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Feeling pretty beat up. My back is rather sore. And yesterday morning I actually got up and ran before I did all the other stuff. So yeah, typical vacation. I don't know why I'm doing so many air quotes today. A typical vacation for me, doing work around the house. But I decided that I wanted to go out and do something fun. So I have the Ranger X1 with me in the back and no other wheel. No EUCs, no other skateboards, no one wheel, just me and the Ranger. So since I've gotten the Ranger, I've taken it out a couple times as you've seen the videos, but I haven't just exclusively focused on the Ranger. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff I've discovered about it, and yeah, we'll go from there. You might notice I have a sweatshirt on, which is not normal Florida attire. Today the high isn't getting out of the 60s, which is very, very rare for Florida. So yeah, we're in the middle of a cold front. We had a really bad storm yesterday with lots of wind. That was the fun part of doing work yesterday. I kept having to stop and start because these waves of storms would come through where it just start pouring and 40-mile-an-hour gusts. So I'd have to go inside and then dry off, come back, blah blah blah. So, but anyways, today isn't bad, but it is on the cool side, so hence the sweatshirt. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I am going to the school. I plan to ride around the school and probably go up to the high school and just back and forth this area just to get a feel of the Ranger in various situations. So yeah, that's the plan. Alright, so instead of using something like Strava to track my ride, I did bring my old-fashioned Garmin wrist-mounted GPS just to get a general idea of the distance I travel, so I can correlate that roughly with the battery that I use. So I am curious what kind of range I roughly get on this thing, since it is advertised as having a maximum of 20 miles of range, because I keep toying with the idea of taking it to Dunkin' Donuts and back. So I need to see if that range is viable or not, and since I wasn't able to charge it until recently, I'm suspect of what kind of battery life I'll actually get. Don't forget about Dust PEV live stream tomorrow night, Sunday, December 23rd at 8 p.m., 5 o'clock Pacific. Gonna be firing up the stream. Supposed to have a special guest appear tomorrow, so hopefully that all works out. Should be a fun time regardless. So yeah, tune in. I wasn't going to put on my elbow pads, but then I thought about Marty's fall and I changed my mind. So I got my elbow pads on underneath here. Still got the tire noise. really hard to nail it down, but it seems to me like the front left and the back left tire are the ones that are making noise, I think. So, I'm not quite sure, but that's kind of what it seems like. It's hard to tell when you're riding. And maybe you heard that, maybe you didn't. This is about 18 miles an hour. I guess it's a byproduct of the bigger tires, but you know, the acceleration curve is just so smooth compared to the Ninebot. I mean, it's a shocking difference. It makes this thing feel like an SUV. But like if I go full throttle, I mean, it accelerates, but it's way more drawn out compared to the Ninebot. In the Ninebot, you got to hold on. In this one, you just kind of chill, and you'll get up to 20 miles an hour, but it takes some time. When I first ordered the Ranger, I was kind of thinking to myself that maybe I don't need the Ninebot. Maybe I'll just use the Ranger for everything. And I can tell you, after having the Ranger now for a week or so, I want to hold on to the Ninebot just because it's a different kind of ride. And it's not saying I don't like the Ranger. I do like the Ranger, but I also like the experience that the Ninebot gets me, and it's a lot different than riding this. Sidewalk here. See, this is where the Ranger shines, because the seams in the sidewalk, you don't even feel them. Whereas the Ninebot, you're feeling every one. It's not a comfortable ride at all. Ranger, it's a non-issue. This is why I like the Ranger. Oh. I'm not really sure how I feel about these double kingpin trucks. I feel more stable at speed on the Ninebot. These feel a little bit more twitchy. The advantage being that you can turn tighter, but at speed, like I haven't maxed out top end on this thing, just because it starts to feel really kind of jittery at speed. So there might be some adjustment I can do to the trucks that I haven't done yet, because I haven't tweaked them at all, but it does feel a little loose to me. Some people have asked me, doesn't that tire noise annoy the hell out of you? The answer is yes, it does. This is where the kingpin trucks are helpful. These turns that would be difficult to do on the Ninebot. When I unboxed the Ranger, one of the very first observations I made was just how heavy this thing is. It's like 30 pounds, I think, something like that. And somebody posted a video to the Ninebot users group on Facebook where they took off one of the wheels. They wanted to demonstrate how you take the front wheel off. And while he had it off, he weighed the wheel. And just one wheel and tire assembly, weighed over 3 pounds. Which I could not believe. That's crazy heavy. Almost half the weight of this thing is in the wheels. That's nuts. 18.5 miles an hour. This is the other reason that you get a Ranger. Because that sort of stuff becomes possible. Whoops. Yeah, I kind of got bounced off the board when I went across the sidewalk there, so it wasn't quite as graceful as I hoped it would be. So depending on what sort of range I get in this little test run here, you know, I'm going to extrapolate numbers to estimate what kind of range I could hope to get. Maybe I may try to do the Dunkin' Donuts ride sometime before I go back to work on Wednesday. When I look at that front left wheel as I'm rolling along, I can see it vibrating substantially. So I think that's definitely one of the sources of my noise. I don't know if you could tell, but as I was doing that turn, my goal was just to kind of cruise through it at a high speed, steady high speed. It started to kind of get a little squirrely on me there if I saw that. Whereas again, on the Meepo, I can track this at a higher speed and feel confident. I don't feel quite as confident with this yet, but it might be just I need more board time. Speed bumps are really jarring on the Meepo. On the X1, I don't really hardly have to slow down. Just bend my knees a little bit and you're over it. All right, I really should see if I can touch 20 miles an hour in this thing. And I have a nice straightaway here to do it, so let me try. 19 and a half. Yeah, about 19 and a half there, both times. I feel much more comfortable riding this thing 15 to 18 miles an hour. Anything faster than that starts to feel a little weird to me. Thing, you know, mid-19s. It's I'm not sure where the battery's at, but I might be able to hit 20, but I need a really long straightaway, and I don't feel comfortable cruising that speed for a real long period of time. Right, so let's do a quick battery check here. All right, I got 2 lights, so about half of my battery is gone. And according to this, my GPS, I've gone 6.75 miles. So based on that, getting 20 would be pretty remote. Although the Dunkin' Donuts ride is different, you know, because you're going just a very steady speed, very flat. You know, with this ride, I've been accelerating, decelerating, going over grass and stuff. So you're not going to get optimal mileage in those conditions. but I'll still be flabbergasted if I could actually go to Dunkin' Donuts and back on a single charge. All right, total distance 7.17 miles. Okay, still showing 2 bars of battery. All right, so that was my first dedicated ride experience. You know, just me and the Ranger just working things out. So, what do I think? I think that it's a much different experience than the Ninebot. I thought, like I said while I was riding, I thought possibly that I could get rid of the Ninebot once I got the Ranger, and the Ranger would do everything the Ninebot did, only better. And that's not quite the case. The feel of the Ninebot is almost like a rough sports car, whereas the Ranger is kind of like a luxury SUV, I would say. It's a much softer ride. I can tackle much rougher terrain on the Backfire, but it's going to be in a very smooth accelerating and smooth braking manner, whereas the Ninebot is kind of like a thrill ride. The tire vibration or the flat spot or whatever the hell is going on with the tire, I find that really annoying. I contacted Ninebot when I had the issue with the charger, and I mentioned the tire problem. And they said, well, you know, see how it is after you know, you get some miles on it. You know, at this point I probably have over 20 miles on it. The noise is not dissipated whatsoever. So I think I'm going to continue to hammer them, looking for some sort of solution on it, because that noise really does annoy me. I know a lot of people have said that it doesn't bother them. Well, it bothers me. It should not do that. And the problem is it seems like they almost all do it. From what I understand, almost every single one of these X1s have that tire noise problem. Even the unit that Daniel Kwan had, I guess, a viewer told me that you could even hear the noise with his unit as well. So I think it's an inherent problem with this design. I don't know that there's a fix, but I'm gonna push to see if they can do something for me. Again, comparing to the Ninebot, I like that the Ninebot has a battery indicator on the board itself. That's a very easy thing to do. I don't know why they don't have it on the Backfire. I like with the Ninebot that you can just put it on the ground and just give it a shove and it turns on. You don't have to even hit the button. Again, that's something that a $400 board has, but a $900 Backfire board does not. I would prefer a situation like that. I'm trying to think, as far as I guess we'll be cutting out this dead space here. As far as more, really the pros are all about just the ride. You know, the ride and the ability to go over rough terrain capably, whereas you could never do that on the Ninebot. That is the advantage of this all-terrain board, in my opinion. At speed, the Ninebot feels more stable at speed, which surprises me. The Ninebot accelerates harder and brakes harder, which can be a plus or a minus, but the Ninebot is definitely faster. If I did, I'll have to do it. A Ninebot versus a Ranger X1 drag race, the Ninebot would smoke this. Of course, you may wreck you may get thrown off the board because it accelerates so hard, but the Ninebot is much faster than the Ranger. So anyways, yeah, I like the Ranger X1, but I'm not blown away. I'm not as impressed as I thought I might be. I thought that it was going to, you know, be able to handle all this terrain and still feel like the Ninebot as far as acceleration and stuff goes, which was, in retrospect, is unrealistic when you have bigger tires like this, unless you get a really high-end all-terrain board like a LaCroix or a Baja board, which just has incredible power. You're not going to get that sort of acceleration with a all-terrain board normally. So anyways, I'll keep at it. I'll see what kind of feedback I get from Backfire regarding my issues, and I'll keep riding it. Some of my issues are probably just lack of practice on the board, so I'll keep practicing on it, and we'll go from there. And this has been very verbose and stupid. It's one of those situations where Words are coming out of your mouth, but you're not forming meaningful sentences. That happens sometimes. And you think you should be talking, and maybe you shouldn't. So anyways, if you found this video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider subscribing. Another quick reminder that Sunday night, December 23rd at 8 p.m. I have a live stream, Dust PEV live stream with a special guest. Tune in for that if you have nothing else going on Sunday night. And that's all I have for you for now. Until next time, Duckman out. Sound like a rambling idiot. Oh my God. Too much talking.